Hello, everyone. Welcome to another exciting edition of Sports Weekly, your one-stop shop for all things sports. My name is Emmanuel Odufejo. I am not alone in the studio. I've also got Joachim Idada.
My pleasure, Emmanuel.
Always glad to have you on the show.
Sure, it's my pleasure always.
All right, let's shoot. So, interesting news we have to share with you from sports, talking rowing, table tennis, and of course the beautiful game of football. Before we get into our stories, let's tell you that you can join the conversation. You'll find our social media handles flying across your screen. Please join the conversation, talk to us, let's give us feedback, and let's know what are your own thoughts around all of the stories that we'll be sharing today. From the home front, because we're talking Africa Rowing Championship 2017 that has just ended. Of course, we can tell you that Nigeria failed to pick up any medal from that tournament. But then, you know how the story is, good and bad always. So the bad side is that Nigeria failed to pick up any medal. But then the good side is that two of our athletes, Moses Michael and Gloria Shemidara, have been ranked among the top 10 African contestants, you know, in the junior rowing category. Moses Michael came in 5th, and Gloria Shemidara came in 7th place. I mean, top 10 African young rowers. As right now, as it stands, we have 2 Nigerians occupying 2 positions, 5th and 7th. So maybe we didn't win any medal at the Africa Rowing Championship, but does this serve as a cushion? Does this serve as at least something to rejoice about when it comes to the sports rowing?
First of all, let's take it this way, or let's look at it this way. It's never too late to start anything. It's good starting someday. Rowing is a water sport, and I know fishing is a water sport. Canoeing is a water sport. If you come to Nigeria, you've got so much water, especially in the south area and in the southwest. That's Lagos, for those states that are facing the ocean. You also have a lot of rivers. I do not have offhand the total length of rivers you have. You have the River Niger, you have the Adeja, you have the Imo River, Arashi River. I can list all of them offhand. So many rivers. What beats me that why did it take so long for Nigeria to recognize that rowing is a sport? If you go to the Niger Delta, everywhere you see canoes. You see people rowing everywhere. Now, rowing can be a sport, especially for those people who are into fishing. I can assure you right now, those guys who call themselves Niger Delta militants, who are complaining that the oil companies have taken away their source of livelihood because of oil spillages and everything, rowing comes to them naturally because it is something they have taken, that they were born into, and they lived off the river. So now, don't we think that rowing could have been a sport if we have developed it properly in Nigeria, that some of these young boys in the Niger Delta that are carrying up arms against the state, don't you think rowing would have been an alternative for them? Instead of giving them free money through their amnesty program, why don't you develop a robust program where an average Niger Delta, you can do it on community level, community-based rowing, you can do it on local government level, you can do it on the national scale. At the end of the day, when these rowers get to play at the continental level, even at the international level, man, it is this girl, Chioma, I think her name is Chioma, who represented Nigeria in the Olympics. She was like a single rower, and who used her own money.
From the US?
Yeah, from the US at the Olympics, who used her own money that even made us take notice. Did we really need that kind of drama for us to take notice of the opportunity available in a particular sport? It beats me. But it's good they started. I hope they will continue, and that they will expand it, and even they will localize it and do something more robust.
All right. So I think it's good to say congratulations to Admiral Festus Bobeni, the what's it called?
Former
now?
chief
Is
of
it-
naval staff.
Yeah, and he's also the one in charge
Yeah,
of
the
the
chairman,
federation
of
for, I think
the
it's rowing, canoeing, and a couple
so-
of sports put together. All right, so good one for Nigeria, and I'm happy that these are young people, you know, that are getting to be recognized. So maybe a good future for us in the sports. All right, moving on, let's talk hockey. Okay, of course, it's been going on. The Africa Cup of Nations went down in Egypt, and I can tell you that South Africa men and South Africa women team have defeated Nigeria's men and women team. It doesn't sound good. So South Africa men defeated Nigerian counterpart 8-1, while the South African women defeated their Nigerian counterpart 5-0. That went down in Egypt. So I can tell you that, I mean, all of this was in preparation for next year's World Cup that will come up in India. So it doesn't look like we're doing well in hockey, and the World Cup is next year.
Unfortunately for Nigeria, we have ended up being is it a one sport nation or one nation sport? It's either football or nothing. There are lots and lots of sports that can bring glory to this country. Hockey is one good example. Something for me that bothers me. It's even good, first of all, that we are even participating. Now, we are participating in other sports.
International competitions.
At the international level. Previously, you could hardly hear, all we just hear is, there's no money for this sport, there's no money for this sport, there's no money for this sport. We don't know whether we will go back to that era as the World Cup approaches. That FIFA, even though FIFA giving Nigeria money to come and participate in their event, I know the usual practice in this country, where everybody thinks every sporting event is what is a jamboree. But for me, it's good. It's good that we are now taking part in hockey. Hockey cooler, it's South Africa. I don't know, when it comes to sports, I think South Africa and Egypt are the #1 sporting country in Africa. Even though Nigeria, by population size, we are like 4 or 5 times both countries. And even if they add the two countries together, I doubt if their population will be up to Nigeria's population. Yet, we are not able to give them a good fight. It's sad, and those people in the ministry need to ask themselves a critical question. Are they doing things the right way? For South Africa to beat us.
Things the right way? Well, maybe I just give you the third news, because I think they are all the same. But I think we must still give kudos to some of these athletes. We might not be getting it right when it comes to administration and all of the top level management and scouting and coaching and development that we need to be doing. But I think when it comes to raw talent, I think that some of these athletes are doing their best that they can do. Let's go to tennis, where we can report to you that well, maybe Africa's #1 and #2. Talking about Egypt's Omar Assar and Nigeria's very own Aruna Quadri have both crashed out of the 2017 International Table Tennis Federation World Cup going down in Belgium. Nigeria's Aruna Quadri was defeated by Japan's Jun Mizutani 4-0, while China's Ma Long that defeated Egypt's Omar Assar 4-1. So right now it looks like Africa is being defeated when it comes to table tennis. Well, now it's no longer Nigeria alone, it's also Egypt.
Not only that, not because it's only Egypt. Egypt is doing what you've forgotten one thing that they had is Arab uprising and all of that, but that's no excuse.
I remember they've also qualified for the World Cup in football, so it looks like it's not affecting them.
It's not affecting them, but somehow, when it comes to sports, like I said earlier, Egypt is far ahead of Nigeria. When it comes to table tennis, we do that we call ping pong. Ping pong, it's natural. The home of ping pong is China. But somehow, you have countries like Sweden, Denmark, even the Germans. You have quite a lot of countries who have caught up with China and who are giving China a good run for their money. The other second thing is that Africa, unfortunately, is being left behind in all of this growth and development in table tennis. I don't know what is responsible for it, but I think one of the critical problems we have in Africa is that you do not have regular top quality events that can really give the necessary push for table tennis to develop in such a rapid fashion, and where you can have up-to-date techniques and techniques in either matching or outplaying some of these other countries that you have in Europe and even in Asia. So I think that there should be some concentration, because I know one thing, Aruna Quadri and Bode, they are based in Portugal. So the whole idea that for you to excel, you need to leave the shores of Nigeria and go and be based in another country. Yes, as an individual, it's good. You understand? But when we look at as a system, it doesn't help. And that is why, and that is the problem you have. Umar Assad is based in Egypt. But Aruna Quadri, Bode, even the Funke Oshonaiki, all our top players are not based in Nigeria. What are we doing? There was a time, even not there was a time, till today, if you go everywhere in Lagos, everywhere you just have table tennis boards. So what is all of this popularity used for? Is it creating opportunities? How many top events outside the Sea Masters ITTF event that took place early this year? What other major event has taken place? None. Now there's another event coming up that is club-based, that is coming up next Sunday. So we need, I think our players need better coaching and top quality tournaments to really make them perform at the international level.
All right, let's talk football right now. Of course, you know that when in Africa, Nigeria, Egypt, have both qualified for the 2018 FIFA World Cup that would happen in Russia. And of course, preparations are already in top gear. We're already hearing about friendlies, being arranged for, the various teams. Of course, as far as the Super Eagles is concerned, the coach, Gernot Rohr, he's already setting targets, for the Super Eagles. And he's saying that the Super Eagles, should be able to get to the semi-finals of next year's World Cup. Do you think this is pushing our luck too far? I mean, I know that Nigeria has made it to the round of 16, say about 3 times, in the World Cup. So maybe he's trying to take it even one step further. What do you think? Is this pushing our luck too far, or is it realistic?
When it comes to the round leather game, I think it comes natural for us, Africans. Same with like athletics, the sprints for Nigerians, our physique, our mentality, who we are fits into it. So I think it is not a wild dream for the coach to wish that we can get to the semi-finals. We can even advance to even the finals. It is possible.
The finals.
Yes, it's very, very possible. What you need to do is preparation and making sure that you go to the World Cup with the best team. This is where the problem is. Football or soccer it's a team sport. And so most of the time, when you go and bring players from all over the world, the time it takes for you to blend them and mold that whole assemblage, it's just like music, where the choir master or the director will need to organize a wide range of tones and everything into a beautiful symphony of music that is worth watching and listening to. And that is the same thing with football. So far, what we are seeing in Nigeria are just either luck or individual players who are showcasing their skills and talent, and who are luck, mother luck has been on our side. But football goes beyond that, especially at the world stage. At the world stage, you need to come to the big game as a team. And for you to come to the big game as a team, there must what I call the philosophy. What is Nigeria's football philosophy? What do some people say 4-2-4, 4-4-2, all of those kind of a thing? What, because you see, some of these players are playing different roles in different clubs. Even different continents have different style of football. If you play in England, you know what the English football is. Push and what? And follow. You kick and you follow. But unlike the South American football, where you hold the ball and you jog the ball, you do some mastery. You go to, if you play in the Dutch league, where they play total football. Now, the Germans have brought up their own philosophy. Mass attack, mass defense. Everybody defends, everybody attack. Nobody goes to say, oh, it is not my role. So you see, you are bringing players from all of these different systems. And you want to bring them under just a short window, and you think they can go and be world beaters. That is where I have my difficulty. But right, if we built our football around a nucleus of local players, injecting a few foreign players, we will be able to stand anybody.
So you're saying that it's very likely that the semi-finals target is realistic?
Provided we don't fight over money and all our players come to the game with their heads clear.
All right, we'll get to fighting over money. Let's also tell you that there's still one more match to go before the Super Eagles can call it a wrap, although they've already qualified, but there's still one more match which will come up on November the 10th against Algeria. That will be the last World Cup qualifier. And then in 4 days from then, there will be a friendly with, I think we're hearing Russia. There'll be a friendly with Russia. And we're even hearing Argentina might also be in a friendly with Nigeria. England is also mooted as a friendly. So these are all preparations towards the main tournament. I think basically they're trying to say you play a South American team, you play an European team, just so you can, because these are definitely people you'll be meeting, at the World Cup. But talking about money, we're hearing now, at least FIFA has come up with 2 new proposals, or there are talks around 2 new proposals. One is around money, to say that FIFA is proposing that the $12.5 million or so that we're hearing will be given to the Super Eagles or to all of the teams, in advance. This for them is in a way to forestall all of the things that happen after the tournament, where we hear that some people are stranded, because they give the money after the tournament, and there's all those, arguments around money, players aren't paid and all of that. So FIFA is trying to say, we'll give you the money in advance so that, everything is sorted. Do you think that can forestall all of these things you're talking about if money is not a challenge?
First of all, like I'll tell anybody that the whole idea of FIFA is a private business. It has nothing to do with the country. Yes, the players, somehow, FIFA status or statute has so grown that now you can't separate the country from the private ownership. So nobody really asks that question. FIFA is a business, they are making a lot of money. And they know that for them to continue to make the money, they need to ensure that not only is there accountability in FIFA, that FIFA funds the teams that are going to come and showcase their skill. Because at the end of the day, the advertiser and the sponsors, that's what attracts them. So I think it's a good sell far as I'm concerned, it's a good sell. But the point now comes is, will FIFA ensure that the various teams or the various FA account for the money?
So one of the things that they have done right now is to say that each team must show a signed contract, with the players that says that, okay, for all the players, here is how much you're giving to the players, and then they can know, okay, other monies are going to other things. But as far as players, bonuses, match bonuses, and all of that are concerned, you would be required to come with a signed contract that the federations have signed, the players also have signed, so that I think they're trying to mop up some of this.
That's it.
Issues,
Accountability is critical.
Yeah.
Because right now what we are hearing is that, there are some people that are advocating that the federal government should also give money towards the preparation for the FIFA World Cup. I say, for me, that's bizarre. Because why should that be? Why should that be? That's why we say when it comes to sport, no accountability, everything is a jamboree. And because people are going, FIFA will ensure you account for the money they give you.
Exactly.
You want federal government to now give you a windfall.
Well, still staying with FIFA, there's also a wind we're getting, also from FIFA around nationalities. So, switching nationalities. So they're still deliberating all of this, nothing concrete yet, but saying that players who have played for, or players who maybe were born in some countries, let's just use for clarity. So you're born in England, but say your father was from Nigeria, so you're also eligible to play for Nigeria. But Nigeria might have to pay England for you to be able to switch your nationality, of course, because it looks like England has developed this talent, and then this person is switching over to Nigeria to play for Nigeria. So they're trying to look at the modalities, how some of these things can work. Or say, right now what it is if you've played, say, under 17, under 18, you can still switch over to national teams. But if you've played for a national team, you cannot switch again. So they're also looking at that. Even if you've played for a national team, but say it's just once or twice you've played, can you still switch over to another country? So these are things that they are considering. What would be your reaction?
FIFA is a business. So the long and short of it is, let's look at the money. Let's see how can we make money out of some of these things. The only unfortunate thing is that the third world countries, Africa, will be the one that will suffer in all of this. Because hardly do you see an American claiming that he was raised or brought up in Africa. Hardly will you see a Briton say he was brought up in Africa. Hardly will you see a Russian. So what you're going to witness is all these immigrants whose parents must have migrated to other countries, and there the child grew, participated in, got developed there, and somehow you now say, oh, I love not the country of my birth or the country of my nurturing. I now love the country of my parents, or my country of origin, my parents' country. Then they're now saying, so you can now imagine how much our NFF will be mandated to pay should we want to go and sign such players. And for me, it's also good for us in one sense, because it also gives an opportunity for the local, it's a sign of pride, as far as I'm concerned, for the local player. That's a player who was born here, bred here, who has done everything here. And at the end of the day, the FA will sit down and check the books. Because if I'm going to pay, example, let us look at this, or is there Olai, no, or he call himself, who today is, I won't say he's being pompous, but at the end of the day, they say Nigeria needs him. Does Nigeria need...
that's not Olai. No, Olai has played for...
Oh, Nigeria, no,
it's
Tammy Abraham. Yeah, we discussed Tammy Abraham the last time. Yes, like Tammy Abraham now, I won't play. All of that kind of a thing. for me, as an individual, I'm against bringing in some of these, will I call them Akata children, or this, bringing them to come and play for this country. We should give those, you see, the first offer, I call it the right of first offer. The people we should give the first offer should be what? Should those who, beyond all odds, beyond all the challenges and the difficulties that we have faced in this country, those whose parents have managed to keep them here, and those, despite the disadvantages here, have been able to rest above all the odds and have come out.
Whether they are good or not.
It's not who told you, sincerely, many of these players that they are bringing from abroad, who told them that they are better than the other players that are in Nigeria? I do not agree.
We watch them every week.
And the problem you see is not the players, it's the poor infrastructure. It's the poor infrastructure, poor TV coverage. Those are the things that it's not the talent of the individual.
But
the talent, see, what you are watching. If you watch, what's the difference between our NPFL and the EPL? The total difference between the of them is the infrastructure.
No, not necessarily limited just to infrastructure.
Talent
is also natural.
That's the major thing that comes to your face. And that is why the British, an average Briton, watches the nationwide league more than watches the EPL. Because as far as it's concerned, the nationwide league is a fair representation because 80 or 90% of the players in the nationwide league are British. It's their local guys playing there. You understand? Because the EPL for them is a business. Somebody is making money. So they are not going to lose their sleep over people making money. They are bringing all sorts of foreign players here. How do you encourage our local players? So all of them, if you watch the nationwide league in England, it's filled to capacity. It's filled to capacity. It's the reverse when you come here, where you play a match. Even in South Africa, if you are playing an EPL match on a Sunday, and on that day the Swallows or the Kaiser Chiefs are playing, you will see the Kaiser Chiefs stadium filled up. How many people go and be watching the EPL? It's only in Nigeria I see where everything foreign for us is attractive. So those are the challenges. So for me, it's a good proposal. It will force our government and force our sports administration, it will force the NFF, you understand, to look more at home. Because right now, no one is investing locally. The NFL wants to just fold their hand like this and just wait for one, will I call it born away, to just appear and you go and poach it. That's all they are doing. That's it.
I do have, how would I put it? I do have a slightly, different approach to this. I think that at the end of the day, even let's leave countries, let's come to in the club level. What you have is scouts. So whether countries or whether you have clubs, what you have is scouts. And it's the job of a scout to go look for talents, wherever those talents might be. So whether I am in the MLS, in the America, I don't mind coming to look for if the next, best talent is in Conakry, or the next best talent is in Sao Paulo, or the next best talent, wherever it is, it's your job to go and look for those talents.
You have agreed with me now.
If you are,
that is a business.
So if you are
let
in
us
a
agree.
country,
No.
If you
then
are
let
in
us
a country,
agree that the whole World Cup stuff is a business.
Well, nobody has said the World Cup
So
is not
fine.
a business.
So because it's a business, because it is a clear, well-oiled business machinery. You understand? Therefore, we should understand. We in Africa must stop being sentimental about it. We should go out there. So if you have the money, you should be able to go to Brazil and go and tell a Brazilian, are you willing to switch nationality? If you are ready to switch nationality, I'm ready to give you an opportunity to come and play for me.
That's
clear.
That's not it. Nobody is doing that. Is anybody doing that? Does anybody?
What are they doing? It's just that's the same thing they are doing right now. It is not fashionable because of the economic disadvantage of Africans. It is not fashionable to
When
be here.
it comes to football, I don't understand where
Don't
the
say football.
economic disadvantage
See,
is.
see,
Football is
no,
that
no,
place
no.
where you can have a leveling play.
Listen, this is where
That's why for all it is, no matter how bad it is, an African at one time was still the best player in the world.
no. And now
I mean,
that listen,
so that's
see,
a
now,
leveling
now
field.
wait 1 minute. Now, and Africa was the best player in the world.
George Weah.
Thank you. But today, his son is playing for US, and he can see.
So
That's
what's
why
wrong
it's so
with
waiting.
that?
And he cannot play for South America. That's the important thing.
So, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Yes.
That's the point I'm trying to make, that if every team, decides to, oh, I would only use people in my own country, I would only use people in my own place, then we'll all remain local. All of the big countries, big footballing nations in the world, say Argentina, I know that most of their best players, play, outside the shores of their country. Start from Messi, Paulo Dybala, all of them play outside of their country, and there's nothing wrong with that. Go to Brazil. The crop of their best players play outside of their country. When it comes to the World Cup, you all come back and play together. It's not a problem.
There's a difference. These people played in their country. That's where they started. And business took them, business proposition or need for greener pasture took them out to other
Those are very circumstantial. Some of them started from their country, some never started from their country.
The difference here is that in this one, many of these players, that's what I'm saying, many of these players who today that were fascinated going to fetching were either born in a foreign land.
And that's a problem, that somebody was born in a foreign land actually has the opportunity to play for that foreign land, but chooses to play for your own country. We should be proud of that.
It's not that we
should give them a pass mark for that.
It's not that we are not proud of it, but the question remains. For me, I'm not saying for everyone. For me, I call it. It's just like for those. There's this. I don't know the law in America. I say for you to run as the president of the United States of America, there must be clear evidence that you were born on U.S. soil. So it's not good enough for you to be an American. It's not good enough for you to carry the American passport. You understand? For you to run. So even though when you carry the American passport and but once there's evidence to prove that if you're a naturalized American, you can't run as a U.S. president.
I think that's good for politics, but it's not good for sports.
No, for sports.
It's not good for sports. Imagine if all of the clubs in the world say for you to play for a club,
we are not talking of sports.
It's the same thing, whether club or
we are talking
country,
of what I call
thing.
it's called psychological or national identity. Yes, for me, I think the most appropriate thing to do, if two people, you understand, one, his parents didn't live and he's here, he's average. Another, his parents went and there are now opportunities there. Why don't we invest? That's the point. Why don't we invest in developing the infrastructure in Nigeria to enable us? No.
I think it comes back down to racism. That's why you should always have an open field for everything. So if I have a job, I don't need to think about giving it to my brother. I should think about giving it to the best person always. Once we keep, it's my own people, it's my own child and all of that, it keeps us, if we do that for everything, then I think all this, it cuts across even, you can even take it out of sports and it's still the same thing. So in the world, your jobs, give it to only Nigerians if it's in Nigeria. Britons should also give only their job to Britons. So I shouldn't go to Britain. Britain should not come to Nigeria. Everybody should stay on their own. Everybody should do their things on their own. Then what does that get all of us to? But I think that the world is becoming a global village. Everybody is getting to know what's happening in the other place. And it hates interaction. It hates, exposure. It hates, experience, once you've been able to go out and then you can come back and use that for your country, I think it can only be good. Keep it only to yourself, if all of us do that, all of China will be in China, all of Britain will be in Britain, all of Nigeria will be in Nigeria. Where does that get everybody to? We all stay on our own. I don't think. Anyway, it's been an interesting conversation. Please drop your comments. Let's see, what is your own take, about all of the stories that we've shared. This has been Sports Weekly, your one-stop shop for all things sports, coming from the stables of ASEN TV, Africa Sports Entertainment and News Network Television. Thank you for watching this. Let's get your comments. Mr. Joachim, it's been nice being here.
Today's discourse was pretty
yeah,
good.
It should be like this. Please let's hear what's your own comment about all of these issues that we've discussed. Till we read from you or till we'll come back next week to talk about sports again. Remain safe, remain blessed. Thank you.